So I'm like almost tearing up because of some of the the news you just shared, but we'll circle back to that uh, later on. But first things first, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and just kind of sharing for people watching, Lila, like what you do and who you are?
Sure. So my name is Lila. I'm based in the Bay Area in California. I am a confidence and accountability coach, supporting individuals who are looking for more career and life fulfillment and exploration, and supporting them along the journey. So I own my own business, Own Your Narrative Coaching. I have a podcast, and I also coach through another boutique organization as well.
Yeah, so you have 100 different things on your plate, and we'll unpack some of that. But let's kind of like take a step back and sort of just like stick to a timeline, sort of. So, first things first, like, um, why did you decide to start this business in the first place, and when was that?
Yeah. So back in this goes back till to 2021, just as like a from a perspective of like when I knew I wanted to become a coach. And so I started my coach training in 2021 and did that while I was working full time as a customer success manager in tech. And I knew ultimately that this was the job that I wanted to do when I grew up, whether it was going to be in house at an organization or on my own and starting my own business. And so I knew that in 2021 and through kind of 2023, through my certification, that I wanted to ultimately have my own business and start that in 2024. Decision was kind of made for me when I was part of a reduction in force at my tech company in September of 2023, and decided then that I was going to use that as an investment. The severance package, that I was going to use that as an investment of myself and start my own business 2 months later. So I decided in November of 2023 that I was going to start my own business, and then I was going to start investing in myself to become a coach.
Gotcha. So that's around the time we connected. So that was like right at the
Correct.
beginning. Obviously,
Yeah,
you had the skills you'd been developing over years, um, but you were really like starting from ground zero. Like just
totally.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had just posted about it on LinkedIn that I was laid off and that I was starting my new business. And I had worked with clients through my certification program as part of training,
Mhm.
but I wasn't charging them
Yeah.
really anything because I needed the hours. So yeah, so in November when we chatted, that was my commitment to myself that I was going to start this business and I was going to figure it out, but I knew that I needed the resources and infrastructure and operational skills to actually do so.
Got it. All right. So before we connected, you were kind of in this transition period. It was pre-revenue for this specific business that you had wanted to start for a couple like years at this point. Um, and then I'm curious, like what was kind of going through your mind, or like what were you feeling? What were some of the most like maybe frustrating kind of parts of that specific time period? Because it was really only a couple months, maybe a few months. Like,
I remember our first conversation like it was yesterday because I remember being frustrated that I couldn't tell you what my niche was. I remember I couldn't get clear on the people that I wanted to serve or what I wanted to do. Like when I introduced myself at the beginning, I didn't know I wanted to be a competence and accountability coach. I wanted to be a coach for everyone and everything. And I couldn't figure out what it was going to be. And so I remember that was the first frustrating bit, which I think was really helpful and why I decided to work with you, is because it helped me find that clarity that even though I could be a coach for everyone and everything, that's actually not the right business practice. And so really honing in on a certain ideal person was actually the most frustrating thing because I think I wanted to do it all.
yeah, this might be skipping ahead a little bit, but when you say it's not the right business practice, is that something that you knew at the time, or is that something that you're saying like that you know now?
No, I knew that I know now. I think when I talked to you, I thought I could be everything to everyone. But in talking to you and going through the program, I realized that if I'm going to have, if I'm going to be a successful business owner
Hmm.
and also work with clients who I have the right skill set to work with, I have to narrow in. So that's something that I learned.
Got it. All right. So we'll come back to that. But in terms of at this point, before you joined, had you tried anything else? Like you've done the coaching certification to kind of polish up skills, but had you tried anything else in terms of like to help you get your business off the ground or to get it to the place that you'd wanted until this point?
Honestly, I just started asking my previous clients for referrals and just have them send people to me
Yeah.
and use my network in that sense and leverage a LinkedIn post that I had done. But I really didn't try anything else. I hadn't sat down and done a website. I hadn't really done strategic thinking. I didn't feel organized.
I mean, it was super early on, so that makes sense. But then also, did you look at any other programs or like coaches or any other kinds of support when you were talking or considering joining?
I think I didn't actually. I found you through someone who I trusted. And
Mhm.
so and sometimes when I like have a good gut feeling about it, I
Yeah,
don't feel the need to shop around
yeah,
and kind of have that analysis paralysis. So I didn't even know if I wanted to do a business coach. I just knew that I needed structure. And I needed both education and I needed structure and I needed accountability.
yeah. And those, yeah, as do many people.
Yeah.
So I'm curious then, like, you said the person you trusted, good gut feeling, but like ultimately, like, what made you decide to buy and join this program in particular?
I think understanding and hearing the testimonials and results of others.
Mhm.
Two, I think also you providing a guarantee and truly like a roadmap. It made me feel confident that I'm going to get at least if I follow all the steps, regardless of how long it takes me, I'm going to get clients. And if I don't, I can go back to the drawing board with you and we can figure something else out. But I think what I appreciated about this program is, and what I learned throughout, especially in like the lulls, is you're going to get out what you put in. And I think that also kind of builds a muscle too, is it's that's one thing. I think it was also very authentic in the approach too, is you have to do market research. I thought that was really smart. And I think that was something that I thought was really, really important. And those were actually a lot of calls that I started to kind of really understand my niche. So yeah, I think that it was very process oriented. There was
Yeah.
a guarantee. And yeah, I think I love the accountability. And I think your background is also really unique. I think that your background and coming in from mental health, but also the fact that you've done this and the fact that this program isn't just for coaches, it's for consultants, it's for small business owners, it's for people who want to start something. And that's what I also liked is regardless of what you're doing, it's for anyone who's starting something out for those coaches and consultants. And that's the thing I wanted. I didn't want to just be coached by someone who just coaches coaches either. I'd like to get other perspectives too.
Yeah, that the community piece, which I mean, I'd like to think that anyone and everyone, as you said before, could use this program. And I've had people say that before, but at the same time, like we do kind of focus in on, like you said, coaches, consultants, but there's like everyone has a unique niche, which is fun, I think. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. So I'm wondering, like you highlighted a few different kind of components, but is there maybe like a specific thing that you want to highlight or that you remember? Like if someone was watching this and we gave them like a little sneak peek and we're like, this thing, like you could just watch
Yeah.
this video, this recording right now, and they could just take it and go use it. Like, is there one thing that kind of comes to mind that you really found valuable, like a more
Yeah.
tactical thing?
Honestly, it was this step-by-step process. Like, and knowing like if you do this first, then do this. Once you've accomplished this, then go to the next step. And I think that that's really important. I think that people really thrive off recipes. like when they're cooking something. And so I looked at this as like, no matter how fast or slow I go, if I follow these steps, I can be successful. And I think that sometimes I psyched myself out a little bit. Like, for example, like the website piece. I was like, this is going to take me so long. It's such a long lesson. But when I actually sat down and I did it, and I was like, oh, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. Like that wasn't so hard. And so I think it's that tried and true step-by-step process that is what I want people to actually know, because you can't get from like A to B, like B being your final result, without doing all the steps in between. Like there's no magic bullet for creating a successful business. You have to take the steps to get there. So I think that that's what I would tell people is trust the process.
What was like the most breakthrough, like, the best step for you specifically in that
Hmm,
process?
what was the best step? Probably creating the sales script, actually. It
Hmm.
was something that I also put off for a very long time. I kept remembering when I won those one-on-one sessions with you, I was like, I'm doing my sales script. And then you asked me again, have you done your sales script? I was like, no, I haven't. But again, you templatize it in such a really great way that it's so easy that it clicked for me when I actually followed the script and I started doing sales calls. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is working. I'm talking to someone and what I'm saying is resonating with them,
Yeah.
but I'm building it up. And then at the end, I'm waiting and they're like, so how do we work together? I was like, I did it. They found my website, they found my LinkedIn, they found my presence. Like I'm targeting the right people and they want to work with me. So I think it was the building and the utilization of the sales script. That was kind of the aha.
Yeah.
Um,
Good feeling, I'm sure, when it's like, yeah, the I did it moment. Uh,
yeah.
so I would love to keep, selfishly, I'd love to keep unpacking that, but for time's sake, fast forward a bit. So you've gone through the program. Um, I think how long were you in it total? So for like 6 months ish, something like that.
I would say
Um,
probably yeah, 5 months.
yes,
November to May.
yeah. So got what you needed,
Mhm.
moved on. So speaking of moving, I know that's one of the updates we were just talking about is you've since moved, like in real life, in person. But maybe not physically, but like in your business, if I ask where are you now? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like you started at zero from scratch, ground floor, however you want to put it. How many maybe total clients have you gotten up to?
Yeah.
Just to put some numbers to it.
Yeah. So since being in the program, I mean, I don't even know the exact number. I'll pull up. I mean, it's been well, like probably close to 20 people that I've worked with. Let's see.
Yeah, and because you're still doing one-to-one coaching, correct?
I'm only doing one-to-one coaching. And since I started working with you, yeah, I've completed with about 10 clients, and I'm working right now with, call it about 10 more.
Yeah,
And so, and again, I have had sales calls where the timing wasn't right too, but I've definitely, or people that they weren't ready or they weren't the right fit, which allowed me to go back to the drawing board too. But I've definitely had a lot of consistent success since the program, during the program and since the program ended as well.
yeah. I mean, that's a total credit to you. I mean, like you talked about before, like having the lulls. It's like when you start to implement something and the you have the I did it and it, but like it keeps going and you've continued to put in the work and like run your business and continue to grow it. So from the like $0 mark, what was like the peak revenue that you've gotten up to? I don't know if you like maybe per month, if that's the easier number instead of like tallying
Yeah.
it or
Well, I think that
whatever.
was the other thing too, is being able to track that. So I'm just gonna pull up my total because I've now tracked it all in Airtable. My total um private coaching revenue since January. is $8,000 total. And for like my peak month, I think my peak month might have been in May, likely, and that was 3,000. And so like it's only gone up and up and up each month. And I think the other thing too is I've also increased my pricing since we started working together, which I think is also really important for this kind of recipe, is as I continue to price up and up and up, it's going to be a balance of the amount of clients, but also how kind of I price those packages, which is also something that we discussed together.
Yeah, because so I know you said like and like you've gone through a lot of change in recent months. I mean, even so we're talking in June of 24, and so it hasn't even been a year since you were working full time
Yeah.
somewhere else. And I know you still have some like you're doing coaching through some other and
Yeah.
consulting other
Full-time work.
organizations.
Yeah.
So this is still like part of your total kind of work picture, but from building it from zero to up to it's your best month was 3,000 of pure coaching, and you started just to highlight like by charging nothing. And so you're now making 3K a month. And that was the most recently completed month with just the one-to-one coaching, not to mention your other like income streams, but
Yep.
this is what we were talking about, right? Just the business coaching business. So uh how do you like I'm wondering like the feeling side of it. Like we talked about all like the numbers and stuff, but are you still enjoying the coaching? Like, are you loving, like, what's your favorite part of what you get to do now?
I love seeing the transformation of the clients that I work with. I think that a lot of clients have found me either through the content that I've posted on LinkedIn or my network.
Mhm.
And and I think witnessing people from all walks of life, from all communities, but still being able to have really important transformational work and seeing that within them and seeing the change that they have. And again, I only have 6 sessions with these people. So that's about 3 months with them. But to see the change in them makes this work so rewarding for me. And even people just seeing my LinkedIn content, they're like, wow, that was really interesting or impactful. And they notice that. So I think what I love here is I'm able to have one-on-one impact. And what
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to is having more scaled impact down the line. And that's where I really want to impact more people, knowing that the work that I'm doing is really important. And and then I think that's that coaching aspect. The
Mhm.
business aspect is also I'm stretching and I'm growing and I'm learning new skills. The fact that I'm tracking my own revenue, the fact that I'm tracking my own CRM and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, and managing communications and automations and operations makes me really proud of myself too. And that is what I think is really cool.
It is really cool. It's like, um, it's just, it's amazing how much like change, yeah, you've gone through. I'm curious, like, if I asked how much of your week would you say, like a percentage wise, would you say you spend on just like the coaching business, this one-to-one that you were talking about?
I think the answer that I would give is I'd like to focus on it more. I think that it's as we kind of alluded to before the recording and here is life happens
Yeah.
too, and it's going to go through an ebb and flow. And so I think that I'm still figuring it out. I think the majority of the time that I spend on my coaching business is actually in those one-on-one sessions.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think I have to also be mindful of how many sessions I'm doing a day and how much am I spending on the business so I can keep generating that. So I don't have a good answer for
Gotcha.
you.
Yeah. Well, it's like the ebb and flow, but it sounds like maybe at the most, maybe like a quarter of your,
Yeah.
like 10 hours a week is like going to the coaching.
Yeah.
Um, so, and it seems like to me, like you enjoy all of the things that you're doing. So I think that's where it's really subjective. You get to kind of pick and choose. And that's one of my favorite parts about like seeing you go through the program was the intention that you brought to it of like, I'm going to focus on this. And I could do this, but I'm hold like you just you it was thoughtful, like, and you always had a reason for thinking through why you're doing what you're doing. Um and I don't know, I appreciate that because I think everyone's journeys look a little bit different. So speaking of, I'm curious, if someone else was watching this right now and you think back to like when we were just meeting, what advice would you give to yourself if knowing what you know now, and if you were, you know, on the fence about like joining this program or even booking a call in the first place to check it out?
I think there's something to be said about like doing on your own and trying and like seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. I also think that if you're ready to make a time and monetary investment in yourself, there's no better time than now. And so I think the advice that I would give myself, honestly, I'm glad I committed to it because I did not back out. I knew that I needed to commit to it. I think um I think for me, timing is everything. So I would just say, like, make sure it is the right timing for you. Make sure you are not going through a giant life transition, or like during something that you think might distract you from this, because I think that this is a really intentional program and really requires a lot of your time and energy. And so I think that choosing it right as we were entering the holidays in retrospect, maybe might have not been my best kind of thought or idea, but I'm still glad I did it because it allowed me to hit the ground running in the new year. And so it's a tricky balance there, but I would say, like, again, advice or even early on in the program is don't compare yourself to others either, because everyone's starting in a different in a different position. Like if I think about a running race, is everyone's in a different position, but this is a marathon, not like a 100-meter dash. And so, yeah, I think I compared myself to others a lot in the beginning, and I wish I didn't do that as much because I was on my own journey. Other people are on their own journey too.
Yeah, it's a really strong takeaway. And I think also just to highlight, like, of course, if you're about to, you know, disappear for a month, then like maybe like go do that first and then come back. But also you said like the importance of committing. And so like you committed and you put your, you know, what's that called? When you put your like put your hat in the ring, uh,
Yeah.
step into the arena and out of the stands. And you know, I don't uh, again, full credit to you actually putting in the work. But I would bet that if you didn't put in all of the work that you did, you would not be where you are
Oh,
today.
no, definitely not. My biggest like tagline is like you get out what you put in.
Yeah,
And there is so many like it's a toolbox. It's a toolbox and there's step-by-step instructions and there's a process and there's all these lessons. And that goes for anything. You still actually have to build it. You still have to actually put your hands on the tools and read the instructions. And
yeah,
so yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, I didn't just end up here. I did a lot of work to
yeah.
get here.
So what's next? What are the to kind of as we close out,
Yeah.
like what are you looking forward to? I know you said thinking about like what you'd like to focus more on, but do you have any specific kind of revenue goals or business goals or any plans
Yeah.
in that arena?
I think that the next goal, kind of not for the private business, for group coaching, is I already went through a training to become a group coach, so I'm hoping that I will get kind of that opportunity to do so. But for the private business, I really kind of want to play around with marketing. I think that what I've realized is that LinkedIn is amazing, but if I think about my ideal client, where are they? Where are they most? And it's really thinking about the other social media platforms, and whether it's me learning, whether it's me partnering with someone to kind of help bring something, like help bring my own content to life, that's where I'm really starting to think about having that larger impact, but also allowing to me to have a top of funnel where I can have more clients coming through. So that's kind of the next step, especially like as summer and people are going on vacation and people don't want to commit to coaching right now, is how do I actually start putting kindling on my fire and really start to build my brand too. That's also what I'm thinking about.
Love that. Love that the professional development in like just like the business hat that you were wearing, business development, and thinking about it from a different angle, different perspective, like that's like what I'm like most proud of seeing. Like obviously you put in all the work and you're like, I mean, I even have one of my closest friends, I wound up referring to you because he was looking for what your offer was, and he had nothing but good things to say as well.
Mhm.
So all of those things are great, but also I think just for your own like journey, being able to think from that angle and perspective. And speaking of big changes, I don't know if anyone's seen like what you've been waving around, that heavy rock on
Yeah, I got
your
engaged last month, which was also a big step in my journey. And again, it's like just because you're a business owner doesn't mean you also don't have like a life outside of it. So like me and my fiance are so excited. He's so supportive too of me and my entrepreneurial journey. Yeah, I could not do it without him either.
Yeah, and also just goes to show your level of commitment because like you guys moved house, you got engaged, you like not to mention all the other things that happen in life, like personal,
Yeah.
professional, etc. And you still got to to where you are today. So just like round of applause for you and all the work you've done. Closing out, if anyone was interested in what you have to offer and like working with you, where could someone find you, and like what's your, yeah, what like where could they find you online, I guess I should say.
Yeah. I would say the place to kind of get the best flavor of me is on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Lila Cantor, and my website is available there. You can also listen to my podcast. I've had some fun guests. One of them including my mom, who was like such a fun inspiration. And so you can find me on all podcast platforms called Confidently Own Your Narrative. And then I also have a website too. But I'm happy to share that with Riley if you'd like to get in contact.
Love that. Yeah. So type your name into Google, you will probably come up. Is what I'm
Yes.
is what I'm hearing, but LinkedIn especially. Thanks
Perfect.
for sharing some of your story with us today, Lila. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.